Good day everybody, and welcome to Kampala Road, October layout update. Okay, I've had a few setbacks since the last update. I won't dwell on those because I've documented those already, but what I thought I'd do with this update is follow up on various items that I've mentioned over quite a few videos now, things I was going to do or gonna do, and show you the results. Alright, before I really get underway, I would just like to say thank you very much to everybody for supporting me over the last few weeks with my challenges that the manufacturers have sent me to make me move away from the hobby. I really appreciate everybody's comments, everybody who's stuck with me. Reinhardt, Kevin, Graham, Susanna, many, Kev. I don't have a list in front of me, I'm afraid, but I just want to say thank you very much to all of you who expressed concern that I might sort of throw this out of the third floor window and give up, which I was close to doing. So again, many thanks. To be honest, since my Z21 let me down and I had to wait for a replacement, which was very well handled by Scog Rail in Ipswich, I lost a bit of enthusiasm for the layout, as people tend to do, or I do anyway. So not too much work has been done on the layout, but I have tried my hand at other things, different things to try and create a bit of interest. But first of all, to follow up on a couple of previous videos, the Flying Scotsman, which I subject of a video of mine. I'll just adjust the camera. Won't go into what's wrong with it because I've done a video on that, but the good news is that Hattons came to the party without question, and I was concerned, being such a big entity, that Hattons would sort of wash their hands of it, especially as it was 19 months ago I ordered this. Hattons, without question, and were very prompt, have offered a full refund on this model. Very apologetic. I think somebody did watch my video because I did send the link to the people there. Very apologetic that the turns out to be second hand. I think it's fair to say they pointed the finger at Hornby on that one, saying that they were supplied possibly a used or repaired model and then it went into their inventory. Long and the short of it is, I have to get it back to them, and it'll go into their returns policy. I will get a full refund on what I paid for it 19 months ago, and second class postage, I guess. Now, the third issue I had this month, or the last couple of months, was this, and again it was the subject of a video. This one really upset me because there's nothing highly technical about it, and it didn't work straight out of the box. So this was from Rails of Sheffield. Cue the train going past. Again, I'm really pleased to say, and it's very encouraging, that Rails of Sheffield took my complaint very seriously. Not sure if they watched the video. I didn't tell them I'd done a video on this. But they took it seriously. They reacted very quickly to it, realised it was going to be difficult getting a lower priced item back to them. And it's not their fault I live here, but they do take responsibility because they do send items overseas. And we came to an agreement that after I'd taken it apart and told them what I thought was wrong with it, they came to agreement very quickly that they'd give me a partial refund and I would keep the item. So, not sure if it was the right amount, but I agreed to it because I didn't want any more sort of faffing around. So I've kept the item and I have some credit in my account. What I will say about this observation car is it's rubbish. Compared to the Pullman coaches, the ones with the lights that work, it really is cheap and nasty. It looks nice, but it's cheap and nasty. I'm not saying that anti-Hornby. I was thinking about this last night, that probably two of my best locos are Hornby. That's the Class 50s are superb, and my Duchess of Buccleuch Coronation Class locomotive Criteria 2006 is just a phenomenal runner. But going back to this, I have fixed it. There were three problems with it. They put the wheels on the wrong way around, so it couldn't pick up power, so it obviously was not quality tested in the factory. The lights didn't work once I'd fixed that, because the micro plug up here was faulty. I've pulled out the micro plug and soldered the pickup wires directly to the PCB that runs along here. And thirdly, and this is what I'm still battling with, the drag on this is absolutely incredible. It just does not run freely at all. Anyway, the long and the short is I have a working observation car. I haven't fixed the buffers on yet. I've got to repair everything I broke while pulling it apart. But the long and the short of it is, both with Hattons and Rails of Sheffield and Scog Rail, I'm really happy that retailers are prepared to listen to you and try and negate what the manufacturers do in their best efforts to turn you off the hobby. But it was good news. Power of YouTube in some of the cases, maybe, not sure. I want to follow up from my last update was I mentioned my 108 was, when it was new, it was fine, but the pickup system on a 108 is fairly complex, relies a lot on touching, a lot of broken connections, and as they get old and dirty they tend to fail. So I mentioned that and I got some replies and help with that. Right, a quick recap. The wheels pick up the power, obviously. They go to a washer or brush on the axle. That then touches a brass plate just below the PCB in the chassis. Then that touches and connected to the PCB. I think that's correct. A little bit complex. What I've done is negated all that and soldered a wire from the pickup directly to the PCB. So in the centre of the picture there you can see the original brass pickup coming up from the bogie. Then that rubs against the brass pickup on the PCB somewhere in the chassis up there. Just here, where that screwdriver is, that's a wire. I've soldered it to the pickup here, and it's soldered up to the PCB, the base of the PCB up in the chassis. I've done that on both sides. I've only done it on the one bogie, and it has dramatically improved everything. Very, very pleased. So again, thanks Brendan. I used a bit of decoder wire, very small and thin, on each side, and I tested the rear bogie where the weight is to see how I got on with that one, and it's fine. It really has sorted out any problems. So I'm very happy with that, and a new lease of life for the 108. while twiddling my thumbs, waiting for my control system to be returned, I was adventurous and decided to try some weathering. I really do like the look of it. I've watched people's videos and thought I'd give it a go. I don't have an airbrush, so this is all done with cotton buds, some what do you call them? Weathering powders and acrylic paint. And I went to town on the bogies and gently, I didn't want to overdo the bodywork, but gently did the bodywork on the roof, looking at real pictures of locos online, and I looked at a sister loco to this one, and looking at what people did to their locos. So I gave it a go, and then I sprayed this with Tester's matte varnish, which changed the colour completely, to be honest with you, once I'd done that, but I think it not to the detriment of the model. So that was the first one I did. Heart in mouth, to be honest with you, because they're not cheap, these models, are they? And if you stuff it up, you stuff it up big time, because it's on show. You can see I've used brushes. I think the spray gun is much better, because it does give the actual impression of spray. But anyway, you use what you've got. I used some acrylic paints, mixed them up from a schoolboy's kit, and gave it a go. This loco has a gearbox problem, so excuse the terrible grinding noise. The other loco I had to go at was this Class 40. Now I had to repair her. She was heavily corroded. So she has a new motor in, new pickups, and she needs wheels. I had to really go to town to get the corrosion and oxidization off the back of the wheels. Long and the short of it is, she runs nice. Now I weathered this a long time ago, about 12 or 13 years ago. She is the early Bachmann model. Came in for a bit of criticism because the body is too high off the bogies back then, and it is 8-wheel drive, unfortunately, 8-wheel pickup. But she runs very well, doesn't hesitate anymore around my layout, which is something. I thought she'd be too big because she's very long, and she is big, but I really enjoy watching her going around. And one of my favourite things is watching light engines working, and this was a great one for light engine. So I put more weathering on her to hide the appalling job I'd done a long time ago. Trying to mask what I'd done. Not sure if it's worked out. It looks a bit heavy. But anyway, it looks weathered, let's put it like that. And a great addition to the layout. Something else I said I was going to do was modify this Franco Crosty, because it doesn't have tender pickups and was struggling on a couple of my points, and what I thought about doing was putting tender pickups, but an easier option was to put a decoder in with a stay alive, and I have done that. I think it's improved things, but I'll put a caveat on that. I can't remember what decoder it had in, probably a Hatton's or something like that, or a cheapo Hornby, but I've put a Zen DCC Concepts one in with a stay alive. Definitely improved things, but whether it's a stay alive or not I don't know. The capacitor looked very, very small, and whether it actually does anything or not I'm sceptical, but as far as the decoder is concerned I think it's a lot better decoder than what was in there, hence she runs a lot better. Just let's see her go across this set of points. Much improved. I don't think it's quite as good as a locomotive with tender pickups, but she's very smooth and much, much better than she was. A creaking tripod. There. One of my previous videos was a short review on this railroad model, the Hornby Hall class. What a wonderful little engine it is. And I quipped on that video that I would put a TTS decoder in. And I did. I had a Castle class decoder. I'm not an expert on revolutions per minute of the wheels and chuffs, etc. It makes a noise and that's good for me. So I put it in, and it must be the way Hornby wanted it. It took me less than 4 minutes. It worked straight away. Probably the first TTS decoder I've had that hasn't given me a problem yet, and I'm touching wood as I say that. Sounds great, very, very simple, and I haven't had to adjust any CVs for the running quality of this. Just do a short burst to show you that sometimes it does work and does what it says on the tin. So a very short demonstration. But it works, and I'm very happy with it. So can't complain on that one, Hornby. Very, very dark today. Our wet season has arrived with a vengeance. We've never really had a dry season, and my room is very dark. Finally, what I have been doing, again whilst I've been sort of milling in my own self-pity of the problems I've had, is to motorise all the points. And that area there, the steam depot, the whatever you want to call it, whatever I want to call it I should say, all those points are now motorised. and it means I can sit back in this side of the layout on my Fat Controller's chair and move steam locomotives around on the far side of the layout without any inhibition. Another set of points I've done is underneath the tunnel, or what will be the tunnel area. There are 5 points under there which are difficult to get your hand into. I've put points in there, they're all automatic now, and it really has changed the dynamics of the layout and made it very enjoyable. So of the 34 sets of points on the main layout, only 2 are now non-motorised. So it's happy, and with the Z21 it's extremely easy to set up routes and change points in a flash of a second.